Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's August 11th, 2021, and today I thought I'd talk a little bit about food preservation. I got a question a while back, and I apologize, it's been so long since I've responded to comments and questions and all. And the question was about having videos demonstrating how we're doing our preserving of the various fruits and vegetables and nuts and all that we grow here on site. Thea had vacation last week. I was hoping to be able to shoot some video with this. With that, I think next year when Thea's retired, she's got a little over 4 months left, about almost 5 months left before she's retired. I think we can start shooting videos next year demonstrating some of the ways that we're preserving the food. Today, in this video, there is some of the food processing process of work that we do with dehydrating our garlic, and some of the reasons behind it. But as a quick sort of overview, like right now we're harvesting peaches, blackberries, peaches and blackberries, still mulberries. Those are the ones I can think of right now, and certainly all of the peaches and fruits like berries, fruit like peaches and plums and all, what we end up doing is they end up going in the freezer. So we had a deer pull down a couple of big limbs that were just laden with fruit that I never got to thin and never got to pruning. So I had to take off those limbs, and I ended up bringing in, I don't know, maybe 20 gallons, 30 gallons of peaches, which Thea went through the process of, we do a dilute Clorox and water solution, and that is to kill off any microorganisms that are opportunistic microorganisms, not necessarily pathogens. And what I mean by that is, when the fruit gets ripe, like the peaches and all, the birds come down and start pecking at them. So there'll be little pecking spots on them, and that disrupts the protective skin of the fruit and allows bacteria, viruses, fungi as well, to get into the flesh of it, which it's like getting a skin abrasion on your skin. You have bacteria all over the surface of your skin, and that isn't a problem unless you get a road rash, you scratch yourself. That leads you open to an opportunistic infection, not necessarily a pathogen. So fruit that have been damaged like that we're going to process, they get a dilute Clorox solution, and then they get cut. We leave the skins on them because there's a lot of nutrients in the skin. They get frozen, and then later on, like the peaches, we'll make peach jam. Thea will make peach jam, and so on during the winter months. But that's part of the process. The mulberries, the blackberries, and our blackberries are those big, beautiful Triple Crown and Chester thornless blackberries. They get picked, get frozen, and they go in the freezer. So all of the currants, the red currants, the black currants, have already been harvested. Almost all the blueberries, there's still a few left out there, and all of those get put into 1 gallon freezer bags and are put into our multiple freezers. So we got, in our garage, 6 freezers, 1 refrigerator freezer. In the work area, we have 1 freezer and 1 refrigerator freezer. So, and they're almost fully packed up again, even though we tried to decrease the amount. So our canning processes, although some is done during this time of year, early in the spring, but not right now when everything's growing like crazy. We just don't have time to do any of those things. For example, of the peaches that we grow here on the site, I can only harvest maybe 10 to 15% of what we grow here and actually get it into freezers, because I'll miss some of the period and I'm doing work in other locations. Some of it the deer consume. The mulberries, we get maybe 8 to 10%, but we get multiple gallons from them. The blackberries right now, the deer and the birds are going crazy in there. But, you know, I think yesterday Thea got 1.5 gallons from the plant. So every couple of days would be ideal when Thea's retired. But right now, you know, it's, you know, she'll do it on one day on her days off. Fortunately, some of these berry plants produce for a long period of time. And we've select different varieties like our peach trees. We have some that have already, they've just gone to maximum picking time. You know, the fruit is real good. The birds are getting at them, and then the wasps will get to them too. Some of the apples are ready now, but they'll be all the way until late fall to them. Then after the frost is when we get the persimmons. So it's just constantly on the go, whether it's strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, honeyberries, currants, and the whole varieties that we have. But we like having some of each of them because that goes into our daily smoothies that we make each day. But for the most part, those are all frozen. Our broccoli, we do the same thing. We're really fortunate we got so many beneficial predators. All of our kingbirds, there's so many of them working, and we've got bats back again. We haven't had them for several years, so they're helping out at nighttime as well. So the number of caterpillars or worms on the broccoli and all is really reduced. And the broccoli gets picked about every other day as well, and that's frozen as well. So it's cut and frozen. And I'll probably make a video talking about the benefits of cutting so many different vegetables and how that enhances the enzymatic activities in the vegetables that give you more of the potent nutrients. And an example is garlic. And so today what you're going to see in the video that follows, you're going to see that, and I'll stop there for a second. I'll say I'm planning on posting a video going from soil prep, like putting a cover crop in initially, planting the garlic and shallots, then timing, getting the garlic scapes, and then harvesting the garlic, how we harvest it, and then I'd say phase one of curing is letting it dry outside for a day, and then bringing it into a well-ventilated, warm environment for the garlic to finish drying. Then we prune the tops off. Then we go through the process of sorting them. So one of the things I'm doing that I haven't done yet is I got to go out and sort out and get the biggest garlic bulbs that we've got, and those will be destined for this fall, planting them. The garlic that was small, and one of the reasons that we have such small garlic at times is because we don't have irrigation to those beds up in the third food forest, which I hope to get in this sometime in the near future, but it's just crazy around here. So we had a really good harvest this year, considering we did get a couple of rain showers during the season. I know people around us got lots of rain. We unfortunately didn't get that much, but we got a lot more than last year. So the garlic dried. Then I go through and I sort out all the small ones that aren't fit for selling or for planting, and I get all the ones that where the deer head walk through and with their little hooves scratch some of the protective wraps that hold the garlic together off, and some that lost more leaves early on, and therefore they don't have as many protective wraps. So all of those garlics, I use a hammer, and you'll see in this video I use a hammer to quickly break open the bulb. Then I take each of the cloves and I put them in a 5-gallon bucket. Now you could do the same thing with the cloves and put them in a Tupperware with a sealable top and bang it around so that the cloves are hitting the sides of the container, and it helps to loosen the wraps on the individual cloves. And then I show you the technique that I use. I use a mortar mixer or a paint mixer hooked to a cordless DeWalt electric drill, and I put it in a 5-gallon bucket with a hole drilled in the center so that things don't go flying out. Then I use my battery operated leaf blower to blow off a lot of the hulls the hulls, the wrapping of the cloves that have come loose. And then the next thing that happens is I bring the buckets into the house. Thea fills up the sink, dumps a whole pile of them into the sink, fills up the sink, and all the wraps sort of float to the top. She removes those, and the ones where the wrap on individual cloves is still there, she pinches them and the clove comes out. All the cloves that have been rinsed and cleaned, they go into the Breville food processor, Cuisinart, just a food processor, and it gets chopped up into small little pieces, increasing the surface area of each component. Now, it's really important that they do get cut up before they're cooked, or before they're, eating garlic raw is the healthiest way to eat it. Although our society doesn't accept that well. People have always talked to me about it, but I will eat raw garlic because it's the most nutritious. Because there's an enzymatic reaction that occurs that provides all the nutritional benefits. But if the garlic is cooked, boiled, if it's whatever way it's heated, it damages the enzyme necessary to unleash the most beneficial, highly nutritious components of garlic. So by crushing it, so our process of running it through the food processor, beating it with a hammer, helps to start that enzymatic reaction and convert something that's a precursor to a nutritionally beneficial component, and that is what's in the goes into the dehydrators, and the dehydrators dehydrate it, and then we have our own garlic powder. So we will be, as soon as I get the rest of the garlic cleaned up, we will be selling that, some of it as well. Some of it will be real nice seed garlic for people. And we don't ship or anything either. So what's going to follow now is the video of me going through using my big orange hammer. You're going to see the countertop is dirty, and the everything I use gets dirty there, but they do get washed. Washing garlic does reduce some of the benefits of the garlic, so you just eat twice as much garlic, and that's just fine with me. At the end of this video, I'm putting in a video that Dr. Greger from nutritionfacts.org posted on his website about garlic as well, and some of the science behind the nutritional benefits as well. So I know this video is getting long and I'm talking on here, but I wanted to just go through the process. So you're going to see me going through the process of prepping it. You won't see Thea going through the process of washing it and pinching off what little clove wraps there are, and chopping it up and putting it in dehydrators. And if you want to see that in the future, I'll be happy to do that. It's just Thea was on vacation and working her tail off this last week and all. So she's amazing. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up. If you think of it and you shop on Amazon and you want to help us out, use our Amazon affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you anything, helps us out on our channel as well. And by all means, folks, if you have any comments or questions or suggestions, please leave them below. It may take me a while to get to them, but I will get to them eventually. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe and grow more food. And do it so that you got the most nutritious food available. Take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, one of the things I do when preserving our garlic, so I'll go through a video and try and take you from the point at which we prep the soil, the beds that the garlic is going into, all the way to harvesting, getting the garlic scapes, harvesting, and then curing and storing ultimately. But one of the things we do since we have had, the last couple of years, we've had some significant droughts during the growing season. So one of the things that we do is we have some that don't have enough wraps on them, and I'll go over all that in another video. So these ones haven't been finally prepped. They need to be wiped off and all. But so what I do is I go through anything that's small, or anything where the wraps are insufficient, like this is one here. This doesn't have enough layers of the wrap on it, so this one needs to go into the bucket along with other ones, and these will all become dehydrated. So right now we have dehydrators running with garlic in them. So we go through a process. This may gross you out a little bit because it's a real dirty process. And they're all going to be washed and crushed throughout this whole process. So I take the garlic that doesn't have significant wraps on it, or it may have been speared. I'm going to turn this down. And I take my plastic hammer here. And I take the cloves and I put them in a bucket. And as you can see, some fall on the floor on me. And my hands get real dirty because garlic gets sticky and all. And I'm just trying to get the cloves, anything that's small, anything that's not perfect. Dump a little of the dirt and the crap in there. Grab another one. So these are not going to be stored. These are going to be processed. And take them in, put the individual cloves. Try to get them into individual cloves. I don't always get them into individual cloves. Just go through the process. If a couple are beat up, that's fine. Just two there, separate them. They will get dirty because the outside is dirty. Can't keep them completely clean. If they're small, they go in here as well. Because they're not salable, they're not ones that I'm going to want to plant for next season. I want really good healthy garlic, so by dehydrating the garlic, we make our own garlic powder, and that takes care of us for, you know, for a couple of years anyways when we do this. They'll get the next phase after getting the all of the wrappings off of each one of these cloves, and I'll show you how I do that in just a second here. But this appears to be a brutal process. They do get bruised during this process, but they're going to get bruised once they go through the Cuisinart. And chopped up into small pieces, then put onto trays to go into the dehydrator. And that works very well. And one could sit around and try and peel each one of these cloves by hand, and that would take too much time. So I'll stop this now. Now we'll take our bucket and this is the same cordless drill and paddle that's used for mixing either a mortar mix or mixing paint in a 5-gallon pail. Go ahead and give that a turn. Okay, that starts the process. You can see lots of the wraps come off during this process. And a lot of the garlic oils are being released, and so it makes things a little bit sticky. Go back to the drill again. So when you have the other way you can do it is using a container that has a sealable top. It can be a Tupperware, it can be any darn plastic lock-on lid, or I use a bucket without a hole, lid without a hole, put it in here and shake it like you'd shake paint, back and forth and all, and that will go through the process of loosening the wraps on each clove. So the goal isn't to get the wraps completely off of each one of the cloves. The goal is to get them so that the surface tension holding the wraps on each one of the cloves is reduced, and thereby when they're put in water and you just pinch them, the wraps come right off. So I'll end up doing this about 2 more times, and that'll make these wraps go easy enough so when they're in the water you just pinch the end of this and it'll shoot right out of there. I've just got to do it a couple more times here and then we'll be good. So that's part of the system. Then they go into the sink, they soak for a little while. They go the wraps of the individual cloves get removed at that point. Then they go into the cloves are completely cleaned. And then they go into the food processor. We use a Breville, you can use a Cuisinart, and grind them up into small pieces, then spread it out on our dehydrating sheets. And within 24 hours it's ready. Then it can go into quart jars and then vacuum seal them. So that's our process.
Garlic lowers blood pressure, regulates cholesterol, and stimulates immunity. I've talked about the heart disease risk factors. What about the immunity? Eating garlic appears to offer the best of both worlds, dampening the overactive phase of the immune system by suppressing inflammation, while boosting protective immunity, for example, natural killer cell immunity, which our body uses to purge cells that have been stricken by viruses or cancer. In World War II, garlic was evidently dubbed Russian penicillin because, after running out of antibiotics, that's what the Soviet government turned to. But does it actually work? You don't know until you put it to the test. For example, how about preventing the common cold, perhaps the world's most widespread viral infection, with most people suffering approximately 2 to 5 colds per year. The first double-blind, placebo-controlled trial to investigate the prevention of viral disease with a garlic supplement. Those randomized to the garlic suffered 60% fewer colds, 70% fewer days affected, so not only fewer colds, but faster recovery, suffering only 1.5 days instead of 5. So accelerated relief, reduction in symptom severity, faster recovery to full fitness. OK, but this study was done nearly 20 years ago. What about all the other randomized controlled trials? There aren't any. Just that one trial to date, but still. And the best available balance of evidence then suggests that garlic may indeed prevent occurrences of the common cold. I mean, the common cold is one thing, but what about cancer? Right? Is it a stake through the heart of cancer? Various garlic supplements have been tested on cells in a petri dish or lab animals, but there were no human studies to see if garlic could affect gene expression until now. Eat one big clove of crushed raw garlic, and within hours, you get an alteration of the expression of your genes related to anti-cancer immunity. It's one thing to see a big boost in production of cancer-suppressing proteins like oncostatin when you drip garlic directly on cells in a petri dish, but you also see boosted gene expression directly in your bloodstream within hours of eating it. Does this then translate into lower cancer risk? 10 population studies put together, and those reporting higher consumption of garlic only had half the risk of stomach cancer. How do you define high? In each study, it was different, from a few times a month to every day, but regardless, those who ate more appeared to have lower cancer rates than those who ate less, suggesting a protective effect. And hey, stomach cancer is a leading cause of cancer-related death around the world, while garlic is relatively cheap, widely available, and easy to incorporate into your daily diet in a safe manner, and perhaps the more the better. The only way to prove garlic can prevent cancer, though, is to put it to the test. Thousands of individuals were randomized to receive 7 years of a garlic supplement or a placebo, and they did tend to get less cancer and die from less cancer, but the findings were not statistically significant, meaning they could have just happened by chance. Why didn't we see a more definitive result, given that garlic eaters appear to have such lower cancer rates? Well, they didn't give them garlic, they gave them garlic extract and oil pills, and it's possible some of the purported active components weren't preserved in supplement form. One study of garlic supplements found that it might take up to 27 capsules to obtain the same amount of garlic goodness found in just a half clove of crushed raw garlic. What happens if you cook it? If you compare raw chopped garlic to garlic simmered for 15 minutes, boiled for 6, or stir-fried for just 1 minute, you can get a 3-fold drop in one of the purported active ingredients called allicin when you boil it, even more if you simmer it for too long, and it all seems to get wiped out by even the minute of stir-frying. What about roasted garlic? Surprisingly, even though roasting is hotter than boiling, it preserved about twice as much. Raw has the most, but it may be easier for some folks to eat 2 or 3 cloves of cooked garlic than even a half clove of raw. What about pickled garlic, or those jars of minced garlic packed in water, or packed in oil, or that fancy fermented black garlic? Though jarred garlic may be more convenient, there is comparably less garlicky goodness, especially pickled garlic, and the black garlic really falls far behind. Can you eat too much? The garlic meta-analysis suggests there's no real safety concerns with side effects or overdosing, though that's with internal use. You should not stick crushed garlic on your skin. It can cause irritation, and if left on long enough, can actually burn you. Wrap your knees with a garlic paste bandage, or stick some on your back overnight, and you can end up like this, or this. Definitely don't rub garlic on babies. But an article online said that topical garlic was good for respiratory disorders, and the girl was congested. Look at those blisters. Oh, the poor pumpkin. Right? Natural does not necessarily mean safe. Right? Don't put it on your toes. Don't use it as a face mask. Don't use it to try to get out of military service. But when you instead just eat it like you're supposed to, there shouldn't be a problem, though some people do get an upset tummy if they eat a little too much. And look, you really can't say no side effects given the body odor and garlic breath.